Welcome back, everybody, and great to see you here and joining us, of course, for this review of the 2018 Premiership Championship win. We've got Josh Grajczonek and Frederik Jakobsen. Fantastic to have you guys with us. Josh all the way in Australia, for it's getting towards bedtime. Freddie, of course, in Sweden joining us. So welcome, guys. Lovely to see you.
How are you?
Yeah, we're good. We're still in lockdown here. I think things for you, Josh, are maybe a little bit more relaxed because you told me that you were at a barbecue last night.
Yeah, we're allowed, I think it's up to 20 people per household now. So it's still not, it's nowhere near where it will be or has been. But yeah, we're sort of easing restrictions in stages, and yeah, so far so good. There's sort of been no active cases, well, no new cases shown up, but obviously with all the protesting and that's going on, it's going to be a little bit of a waiting game to see how that pans out if it, creates another outbreak.
Fred, how about you? Are you coping with it?
Yeah, it's all right. Denmark is doing pretty good with it right now. We only got like 80 left in the hospital with the COVID-19 right now, so we are doing pretty good, and everything is like slowly getting back to normal. Tomorrow it's like gyms and all the rest of the stuff which has been closed is reopening. So restaurants and stuff here has been open for a month now, and practices with Speedway has been going on for like 2 months now. So it's slowly getting back to normal. So now we just need to get some proper Speedway racing going.
I'll just pick up on what you said there, Fred, because we are recording this on Sunday. So Fred's referring to tomorrow being Monday. But for the purposes of logistics, we record this on a Sunday, or we have this week. If anyone wonders why they're suddenly reopening on a Wednesday midweek or Thursday, this will be going out on Wednesday, of course. Okay, guys. Well, we've watched the meeting. It was a thriller. I've got to say, when we began, we'd done a big chunk of the work at Wimborne Road with a 16-point lead to take up to the Norfolk Arena, and perhaps fans could be forgiven for thinking that it was going to be a much easier ride. But the Stars really didn't give in. They kept it going, and they ran it. In the end, the meeting went all the way to heat 14 before it was decided. So the Stars definitely gave the Pirates a run for their money. Josh, your memory, I don't know how good your memory is, but when you look back and see, when you arrived, the track looked as though it probably had been prepared in their favour. And judging from the first few heats, I think it probably caught a few of us out.
Yeah, Kings Lynn was so strong. They always are so strong at home. And when we rocked up there, we knew what Buster was going to, prepare for his boys, because they had 16 points to make up. So, they were going to make it suit them more than anything else. And, yeah, I think we started off with 3-5-1s against us, if I'm correct. And they sort of got hungry for it. They got a sniff of it and, knew that they were within reach. And, yeah, we all changed our bikes and sort of managed to just find our feet and, got a couple of 5-1s in our favour. And then once we sort of kept that points gap to maybe 6 points, we sort of, took the foot off the gas a little bit.
Fred, for you, I can't remember, had you been to the Norfolk Arena in the league, because you kind of came in slightly later?
Yeah, I was there once, and I don't even think I scored a single point. So I had to come in with a new mindset for the final. Yeah,
you must have been looking forward to it then. Yeah,
yeah, I did. Yeah, for sure. Had something to make up.
Again, just to reiterate that, Fred, you sort of came in a bit earlier than you'd intended, because originally Matt had intended you to join the Pirates in 2019. Yeah. But you messaged and said, "Okay, well, I'm ready now. I can fill a hole if you want me." And Matt tore your arm off.
Yeah, because the issue was that I was still going at like a college in Denmark. So at that time, I was still going to school every day, and then just racing Poland in the weekends, and Denmark every Wednesday and Friday. So before then, I couldn't really make it happen. And then I went for the under 21s in Daugavpils like mid June. And I texted Matt that I think I'm good to go to England now. I was like, I didn't really know what I had to do after the school, so it was like, I might as well just give Speedway full time a try. And I texted Matt if he wanted me in the team already now, and it worked out pretty easily and smooth. So 1 week later, I was at Wimborne Road for the first match. with a bit of travel after.
Josh, you were the skipper, of course, for 2018. And for me, I think the team didn't come together completely until sort of June. And I think it was actually in July when Bomber joined. Richie and Fred joined in June. So by the time we were halfway through the season, you'd also had issues at the beginning of the year, but we'll come to that in a minute. All of a sudden, come mid-season, the team was now set up. And that's when things started to take off, because we were rock bottom at that time.
Yeah, and you know, we'd go to every meeting and Midlow would be like, all right, boys, it's no time to panic yet, but we need to start getting results, because we were at the bottom for a long time. And, you know, there was meetings where some of us boys would have good meetings and others wouldn't go so great, and then vice versa. And it just, we'd never all really clicked for, it was good, like 2 months of the season. And, you know, Midlow never panics anyway. He knows what Matt's good at, like he's capable of building a team. And once he got Fred in, and, you know, Richie and Bomber as well, I think we sort of just all clicked and started firing, and then we went from the bottom to the top, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, and then that was it. It sort of just went on from there. And then, yeah, Matt obviously said to us, oh, yeah, you know, when we're at the bottom, if we win the league, we'll go to Vegas. And Freddie wasn't quite 21, so we changed that to Abu Dhabi for the Formula One.
Sorry, boys.
I'm going to definitely talk about that a bit later on. Before I go into the meeting again, and just to pick up on what I said earlier on, you suffered quite badly at the beginning of the year. And I know you just said to me before we came on air that you were a bit worried for your position in the team, but Matt stuck with you, and he waited and he was patient. The fans perhaps weren't so patient.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I can remember going to the start line and you could hear him booing me, you know, towards, you know, 2-3 months in, they were booing me when I was going for a race, and I just thought, you know, it's not real good, didn't do the confidence too good. And I actually texted Matt and I said, mate, if you're going to make changes, let me know, because I'm going to be done. I'm going to just pack up and go home, because I was getting to a point where I just had enough. I was driving home from meetings, just not even angry anymore. It was just like draining because nothing was going right. And then, yeah, managed to turn around, and, you know, we finished the year strong, and those fans that were booing me were cheering by the end of the year. But no, you know, it was a weird year for myself, obviously starting out, and that was due to not riding as much as probably what I could have. That was the first year, that I stepped up and didn't do the doubling up role. It was the first year I said, no, I'm going to take a full-time, you know, just elite league spot, or what is it, Premiership spot. And yeah, you know, so maybe it took some adjustment with that as well. And you can always blame stuff, but, you know, you don't turn a bad rider overnight. So it was just a matter of trying to find that, you know, right setup and go from there.
How much of it proportionally, how much of it is based on the mechanics, and how much of it is based on the mental approach? Because presumably they've got to both work. Because once you get the setup right, then your head starts to come round, and then it helps.
Well, winning races helps. If you're getting seconds and thirds all the time, it sort of drags you down. And I wasn't even doing that at the best of stages. You know, sometimes there I'd come away with like 3-4 points, and I'd just sit there and just say, what the? Yeah, you sort of had to try and just keep battling on. And yeah, like, fair play to Matt, he gave me that time to sort of, you know, find my feet again and, you know, get the confidence up. And we shuffled the team around a little bit. I think I went from either 3 or 4 to number 2, and not saying that that's an easier number, but it sort of seemed to just click for me. And that's when I went to that position and, you know, got new engines and whatever, and everything started rolling. Then the results started coming, and yeah, confidence came back, and you go into the start line going, well, I can do something here, instead of going there going, oh, well, I wonder what's going to happen now.
Absolutely. Well, kind of this meeting, it almost mirrored your season, because in heat number 1, in interview afterwards, you said you felt you let the team down because Bomber and you popped out, got immediate 5-1 with Lambert and Riss 5-1ing you, and looking so quick. And that was what I was referring to when I said it kind of caught you out a bit. So again, when you get back to the pits after that, what's the process that happens when you get back to the pits, Josh?
Well, that was the thing too. I went there and it was fairly cold that night, so it was only one little thing. I put a big jet in and it sort of just lit up from the start line. I remember watching the replay back and going, holy, I just sat there and didn't move. And all we did was change the jet, and that sort of turned the night around straight away, where, you know, if I had to think that was in the middle of the year, your head's sort of not really in it, and well, it is in it, but you sort of can't really, you know, put your finger on it. And I sort of struggled. I would have struggled, but because my confidence was up and you work your engines out and whatever, and change that one thing, and it just changed the bike and turned my night around. And obviously a few of the other boys changed a few things as well, and that turned our night around, and we managed to maintain that points gap.
Fred, if I bring you in here, the heat number 4 for you, I think that was your second outing, and doing okay. I think you were in with a 5-1 chance because you were in there with Nick Morris.
Yeah.
And you were on a 5-1, but towards the end of that last lap, it was clear that the bike was slowing and you got pipped on the line. Just tell us what you remember about that.
Well, it was frustrating. I actually reckon it was just a racing mistake into the last corner, because we were on a 5-1 and Morrow was sort of just gone, and I was trying to holding on for second place and just trying to push, and maybe tried a bit too much and should have just eased down last corner, but went a bit in the corner too hard, and bike picked up, and yeah, never got it really turned back in before Lambert came under me.
When you're watching what's happening, I mean, in a normal meeting, I'm guessing you're pretty focused on your own pit bay and what you're doing. But when it comes to the final, everybody's super tuned into the result and how things are going. How much are you able to follow what's happening on track in a meeting like that?
Well, that's actually all right, because like in meetings like this, we got the television on, so we can like more of just like walk 2 meters away from the pit, and we can follow the racing and then get straight back in and talk with the mechanics what we want to do and change and how we should do things throughout the meeting. So it's all right. And in meetings like this, it's like usually we talk a lot together, but here's like everyone's just doing that little bit extra to try and push for the final result. Yeah.
Josh, you made the changes. Heat 5, you came out for a win. But as the meeting went on, it was clear that the Scars were still giving the Pirates plenty of pressure, and it was never in the bag. There was always that chance they were going to keep hitting us with a 5-1. They were well capable of getting the heat wins. And in fact, I think over the course of the evening, they got certainly the majority of the heat winners. But was there a strategy mid-meeting whereby you were saying, okay, well, we've got this lead, and I think halfway through, the lead went down. It was still, in fact, halfway through, it was still 16 points on aggregate was the lead. It started to fall down. The least we were ever up on aggregate was 6 points, and that was at heat number 12. So by the mid-meeting, was the strategy just to keep banging in 3-alls and to keep that lead?
Midlow's favourite words are no last places, and you know the whole meeting was always no last places. And once we got to that heat 12, we knew 6 points is 6 points, and that's a good thing. But it's only 151, and then that's just cut down big time. So, you know, you sort of you can take your foot off the gas, but it's also you got to make sure you maintain. So you just go out there, and if you're in a position, you wouldn't push to pass. You just settle for that position, and you know that's the way you win leagues when you finish races. If you're going out there and you're trying to blast around someone and end up putting it in the fence you're in a second, that's just cost your team 2 points. So I think it was by that stage Midlow just said, come on boys, just keep plugging away, just keep doing what you're doing. If you make a start, that's great. If you don't, then don't. And you're in a position, then just stay there. So yeah, I think, you know, that's the way we approached it, sort of like from heat 12 onwards. And same thing, you never know with Kingsland. The boys are that dialed in there at home. It would only take 2 5-1s and they'd be ahead of us. And so we sort of had to keep the pressure on, but also just maintain a position if we were in that.
I'll ask you both, actually, because it was an interesting one. In heat number 10, the Stars got a 5-1, and it was the race when Casper came off, and it was towards the end of the race, and it was Nikolai in third, I think. So the referee brought out the rule whereby he could give a handicap and put Nikolai off 15 meters because it was judged that Casper had stayed down, perhaps. I don't know how fair you guys think that is, and I guess the argument is if it's working against you, it's going to be unfair. But if a team that were clearly, on the end of a 5-1, and then they come back and they're able to get a 3-3 in the rerun, I suppose that, when it works for you, it's going to be a good rule. So how do you guys think about that?
You go first, Fred.
Well, for us, it's a ride because it gives us a second chance to sort of make up for it again. And when we were in the losing position of that meeting, we had something to catch up, so they wouldn't catch up on us in the end with the final scores.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they have that rule in Poland or Sweden or anywhere else. And I'm not even sure. Is it even a rule anymore still or not?
Not even sure they kept it. I think possibly it was. And it's
it was a one year thing, and then it just got scrapped.
Yeah,
I never heard of it before we came to that race. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, I think there's a few of us that were taken by surprise. Yeah,
I just think if it works, there's sometimes it'll work in your favor, sometimes it'll work against it, but you don't see any of the other countries sort of doing that or anything. I think there's a fine in Poland if you lay on the track and your teammates in third. There's a fine because they still rerun the race. They don't declare them. You got to do the whole 4 laps, so you can get fined. But yeah, I've never heard of that 15-meter thing, and I guess it's a good way. You don't really want to. It's probably good to try and wouldn't even know what to say. Like try and stop people trying to get a good result. Especially if that was a heat 15 and it was coming down to that race, and if we had done it, then fair play. Like put you back off 15. But yeah, I've never heard of it. Well, we only heard of it for a year, so
yeah. Heat 14 was when it was all decided, and you were part of that, Fred. So going out for heat number 14, the lead now was going into it. You had aggregate score of 8, so really it was just a case you both had to finish. Really, just one extra point was needed. Yeah. So presumably you were well aware of that when you went out, and you were quite happy that heat 14 finished with a 3-all, presumably.
Yeah, for sure. I remember I was off gate 4 with Nikolai and sort of made an alright start, and I looked back out of turn 2 and saw that Nikolai was right behind me, and as Midler said, don't do anything stupid. No, so it was just a matter of holding on, and every time going into the corner, I remember after the heat just came over, you boys were going so slow into the corners, and we were like making sure that we finished this once alright and brought home the gold.
It's a lovely feeling, and I was pleased to see. I mean, you got up into they were throwing you in the air as well. That's a nice feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's always, especially after a long season, and to come down to like heat 14 over 2 matches, that's what you want, for an exciting final.
Big year for you because, of course, it was your first year in the UK. And what was your expectation and expectation of coming to Poole with the reputation that Poole had? Did it live up to your expectations? Did it exceed it?
Yeah, I think it was pretty good for me. I came in like a bit like I had expectations, but it was my first time there. I only raced 500 for like 3 years before I came. And it was just, most of the tracks I'd never been to. I'd been to Poole practicing twice and none of the away tracks. So everything was pretty new to me. But I had a really, really good time. Matt and Midler welcomed me good. And I had a pretty good mechanic over there as well. I was really, really pleased with. So everything worked pretty good with me. And it was sort of, because it's like you look at the tracks and you say, that's all right. That's, I went to King's Lynn and I said to Nikolai first track we walked around, I think we go like maybe 57 or something. And he was looking like me. I was the biggest idiot in town. and I think I went out with a 59 maybe sprocket or something in the first heat, and it was no good. So, but it's like when you learn the tracks over there, then it's alright, and you know what to do. But when you come the first time and ride it blind, it's pretty hard sometimes. But I managed to do alright anyway, and I think I got some really good experience from it.
Well, in fact, I think you scored in each of your rides, so yeah, not an issue at all. You did your job, and perhaps, yeah, you did. And Kings Lynn, I'm sure, not holding so much fear now. Josh, I know how busy you guys are in the season and racing for multiple clubs and all the commitments that you have. When it gets to the end of the year and you've got this final, how easy is it to concentrate on that, knowing that, you know, maybe the following day you're off, you know, on another flight, you're racing elsewhere? How easy is it to focus in on the big meetings at the end of the year after such a busy season with so much going on?
Well, first of all, you battle all year to get to that final. So, you know, you don't want to go there and do it sort of half-assed, I'd say. You just want to, when you go there, I think everyone seems to just step it up again. And, you know, you ride hard all year, but then when it comes to a final, there's always that pressure. Like, you put that pressure on yourself to do well. And I don't know, I've done a fair few of them now, and you always seem to find when it gets to a final, you just put like another 10 or 20% effort in. And that's even just looking at the track. You're actually concentrating on what's happening and how it's changing, how to change your bikes and everything like that. And yeah, I had a meeting last year. I had a final in Poland last year, and that was on a Sunday. And then we had a pool meeting on Monday. And it's hard work because that was only a league meeting in pool, but still you sort of battle all year and you get the win or you win the league. And then it's like, righto, I've got to go to the airport now. I've got to fly back to England and race there. So yeah, it's good. You know, that's what we want to do. We don't want to, none of us want to sit around and, you know, wait for meetings to come. We're happy when we're riding 5 times a week. It doesn't matter how much traveling or how many early flights you do or whatever. We're there to ride our bikes, and Fred will agree that with me on that. We just want to ride every day if we can. And yeah, you sort of just, once one meeting's done, you just move on to the next one, and not say the final. We didn't do that. I think we tried to have a bit of a party at Kingsland and they kicked us out. So yeah. Tried to shut all the doors and everything, so we all sort of had to make it, like, part our ways or whatever. But I'm sure, from memory, I think we all went down to Poole and all caught up down there before, you know, we all went back home, and, you know, the year was finished.
Something I noticed in the replay of the meeting was that Matt was very much present in the pits for the final. Matt doesn't usually enter the pits during a home meeting. And I know he travels reasonably frequently to the aways, not perhaps all of them, but and maybe not last year or last year and the year before when he was in France. But when he's in the pits, is he a good influence, or is he is there additional stress?
Nah.
I think he's good.
Yeah, not like an additional stress, because I think he knows that he don't have to like get in and do sort of take over Midlow's job, because he got so much trust in him that he'll just leave that part to him, and yeah, he just knows that knows what we have to do.
Yeah, he lets you do your thing, and you have a good ride, and he comes up and just says, "That's awesome, mate. Keep going." And you know, that's good. It's not. He knows we put pressure on ourselves anyway, and Midlow knows how to bring the best out of us in them sort of meetings as well. He's really good. He's ridden himself, so he's really good with, you know, getting his point across to us, and also being there when if you have a crap ride, you know, he's there to just pick you straight back up so you can go out and make some changes and make it better for the next one.
It's an interesting concept because the two of you kind of contrast each other in the way that people always say about pirates always raise their game for the big meetings, and it's the pirates that, you know, they'll always pull something out of the bag for a playoff. And Josh, you've been part of the Pirates setup for a while, but for Fred, obviously, this is a new thing. So how do you reckon it is that the Pirates always manage to bring that, even though it's not the same team every year? It's different people. Sometimes people have only ridden half a season, like Fred did, but still they're able to get the Pirates to raise their game, and you never discount the Pirates when it comes to October.
Yeah, I think, you only got to look at the trophy cabinet and see how many trophies are there from all the years, and you're proud to be a part of that, because Matt doesn't bring you in. He doesn't build a team to get second or third or whatever. He builds a team that he believes that can win the league, and so when you go to those big meetings, that's just like, all right, this is cool. We can do something, get Poole another trophy, like, and it's just a good vibe. It's sort of, there's pressure, but there's no pressure at the same time, and I think that's sort of what Midlow's really good for too, with meetings and stuff like that. And he's always good for a joke around, even when he's stressed. We know he's stressed because he's got bloody pirate blood as well. He bleeds it, so he wants to do well too, because he's worked all year. He's not driven to Wolves and bloody, I think we're at Leicester that year as well. Like, he didn't drive all those places to, go to the final and get second, or, not even make the final. He does it because he's passionate about it, and he wants to win.
Fred, you must have come in with your eyes open, because again, the reputation precedes us. And is that enough?
Well, I think in this case, it was like, Poole's history and how much they won over the last few years. So, you were riding with the Pirates and skull on your chest, and you were representing the club and Matt and sort of the whole culture around the club. And, well, as Josh said, it was like we had a pretty chilled vibe, and everything knew what we had to do, but everyone was pretty loose and relaxed, and we could still pick on Nikolai before the meetings, and like, it's still a final. And I think that was a good thing for us, because we still knew what we had to do, but we got that sort of vibe going, meeting after meeting, and we delivered when we had to.
Of course, it was also the fact, you were wearing the 70th anniversary that year, all year, 1948 to 2018, 70 years of history, which went before. And we did before the season, we did a massive dinner whereby we really sort of drove home all of the history and the dynasty that had gone before. And I know perhaps, either of you weren't able to be at that and to see that, but I know that feeling, that vibe, certainly was going through the club in 2018.
I remember every week it was like a program cover too, wasn't it, from like previous years, or like older program covers. And I think that's a cool thing too. Matt made a lot of shirts up and stuff, with the older logos and stuff like that. And yeah, I think that's a good thing. That history's been there for a long time. To bring it back for that year and to win that year as well, I think that just makes it that bit more, like, extra special, I guess.
It was the start of this new logo, of course, this one.
Yeah.
So that's where that originated. We got the shield on there in 1948. So it kind of, it all came together. And that's one thing that Matt is very good at. The branding and the whole concept promotion. He's pretty good at that, isn't he?
Yeah, very much. And he's the one who's put, or one of them who's put Poole in such a good position over the years. And, everyone knows what Poole stands for and what kind of club it is. And it's like, we recognize it as the Manchester United of Premier League football and like this. And everyone just highly rates it. It's no matter where you go in England.
I think probably one of the most important things, and bearing in mind it was the 70th anniversary, and I know Dan feels strongly about this, it was the first success that the Pirates got after the Chris Darcy Magic era. And there was doubt. Some of the fans doubted that the Pirates could continue in the way that they'd been, because there'd been the Ricardsons, there'd been Chris and Darcy, the Turbo Twins, and that's such a big deal about that. All of a sudden, all that was gone, and this was a new era. So they turned the page. And again, with the greatest of respect to all of the guys inside, there wasn't a massive big star. There was no big hitter. There was no Ricardson, no Darcy Ward, no Chris Holder. But you guys, just by sheer determination, and I know we talked about it several times about 2008 being a bit like, in my first time that the Pirates ever won a title was 1969, and that was the same. There was no big star. It was just about a whole 7 guys, teamwork. And I know that Dan's particularly proud that, you know, Pirates proved that they didn't need that, and that era may have been in the past, but we're now in a new era, and the Pirates can still do it.
Yeah, we had a very well balanced team that year. I think, you know, we had Crest at the start of the year, but obviously with some visa issues and that, it didn't work out, and Brady got thrown in the deep end at number 1 there. And I think our averages went from, I don't really know, I'm not a stat man or whatever, but it was pretty even all the way out. There's only about 2 or 3 points between number 1 and number 6 and 7, I'm pretty sure. So
you're right.
You know, there's 2 ways of building a team. You can go with your big heavy hitters, or you can actually have a balanced team. But in saying that too, you can have a 5-6 pointer at reserve, and when he goes to the main body, you're going to get someone from the main body dropping down. So you're always going to have that strong reserve. And yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm not a bloody team manager or pick a team or whatever. But yeah, I'd hate to have that headache. But you know, Matt got it right that year. Obviously, we didn't start the year with the same 1 to 7 that we set off with, but the way we finished, you know, we couldn't have asked for a better result.
Yeah, and everyone was like going from 5 point something average to 7 point something average. It was like everyone was so even, and that we had no like big point heavy hitters with an over 9 point an average or something. It was like everyone was just kind of around the same 2 point area. So to have such a wide team was like a big advantage for us, I think.
And for you to be in the reserve at that position, I mean, that's such an important position to be in. 6 and 7, you know, Midler will always say 6 and 7 win your meetings, and it certainly proved to be the case.
Yeah, for sure. I think right when I came in, I think it was maybe me and Nikolai was racing at reserves, and you know, and he changed with Verena and Richie as well, and I kind of stayed there, but I was the new guy and the young guy, and that was all right for me, even though I always wanted to race more when I traveled over there. But you know, we did pretty good anyway from top to bottom, so it was good for sure.
One of the things that we liked about you and Casper was that you interacted very well, Fred, with the fans, and Josh, I know you gave well as well. You're always top man. I think you were probably almost never present at the post-meeting press conferences. Always willing to do your bit. But Freddie, I know that after the lap around, you and Casper and doing the dab. You might remember that. We appreciated that, and it's an important part for the fans and to keep that interaction going. You enjoyed it?
Yeah, I did. I remember we had like this kind of wheelie competition going as well, and that was a kind of motivator to win heat, so we can like do a lap and pop a wheelie, and people were like posting a competition on Twitter day after where people could vote for who won the wheelie competition, me or Casper, and stuff like this, and and this was the time when the Fortnite thing was up as well, and we were playing like all day before the meeting. We could play like 3 hours straight after Fortnite, and then discussing what Fortnite like celebration we'll do after the heat. So we go over the race, and Casper was doing the dab, and I was trying to do this one, and everyone was like kind of doing something referred to that, and yeah, it was just good vibes, and maybe helped us loose up a little bit as well, and just enjoy our racing.
Josh, were you doing the Fortnite as well?
I was playing it, but yeah, I don't know if I was doing any dance. So I wasn't winning too many races there in the middle of the year. Yeah, and then I think once I started getting going, the boys had shifted on to doing no footed wheelies and stuff like that. They stepped it up a bit.
It's great for the fans to see it. It is an important part, and I mean, we want the fans to come. We want the fans to be entertained. And it's, you know, you guys, you have the power to do that, and I know how much it's appreciated. So if you enjoy it, then long may it rain. I remember that last year, and I'm skipping ahead a bit now, I remember that Josh, you were particularly good in that having suffered the wrath of the fans at the beginning of the year in 2018, you quickly spotted that Richie was having issues in 2019, last year, and you came to his rescue to to his help to again give him a bit of a boost and to play the captain's role. Just tell us about that, because it's tough for a rider, isn't it, when they're getting all manner of stick?
Oh, you don't go there to have bad races. You want to go there and win races. When you win races, you're happy. So, Richie was struggling a little bit, with his confidence, and he's questioning stuff on his bike and that. And I could see that, and I sort of felt like I wanted to help out because not only teammate, he lives not far from me up in Manchester there. So I just said, bring your bike around. We'll just go through it and spend a day on it and just try and. You got to try and the quicker you can clear your head, the better it is. But it's easier said than done sometimes. So, we did that, and I think it was his very next meet, and he started actually going well. And like I could say that, I don't want to say it, but you could say that I helped him out and clear his head. But also, I just think he was riding. He started riding well with Edinburgh as well. So winning races up there, getting his confidence up, and more meetings as well. He started getting the ball rolling and, getting back-to-back good results, and carried that on to Poole. And then he started getting going there too, which was good. And then, obviously got injured, not long after that as well. And that sort of, that was a killer for us because, we know what he's capable of. And when Richie sticks in the dirt, he's a very strong, he's built very strong. So he can handle the bike out in the dirt and he can put it where he wants, and he don't mind throwing a few elbows off the start. So, it was pretty bad to lose him last year, but that's racing at the end of the day. We can't all go there and say we're going to come home in one piece. We know the risks that we take, and it's just unfortunate for us because he's very good in the team.
I think it was at the back end of 2018 that Matt declared that the club was going to go up for sale. And how as riders did you did you process that? And particularly, we're coming to the climax of a season whereby we climbed the league table, all that history that we've already spoken about, and then all of a sudden it looks as though it could be in jeopardy. Was that a worry to you as riders?
Yes and no. I'd say.
Not as
you go, bro.
Right? Not as racing wise, because that sort of makes no difference when you're racing and meetings are going on. But of course you're thinking about the futures and what's going to happen now. But as long as we're racing at the track, it's no concern of us, and we're focused on doing our jobs. But it was a big move for him for sure to put it up for sale.
And
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Matt would come to the track and he'd say don't worry about what's going in the papers. That's what I'm looking at, but don't worry about that this year. That's not your problem. You just concentrate on riding, and if it does happen, then I'll make sure that you guys get looked after. If he did sell it, and he didn't end up selling it in the end, but he was always reassuring us, making sure that everything was going to be all right anyway.
All that success, club up for sale, but nonetheless, Matt delivered on his promise. And although at the beginning the promise was he was going to take you to Las Vegas, and I've got to come to you for this, Freddie, because all of a sudden then it was realised, heck, we can't get you in anywhere in Las Vegas. We're going to have to change plans. And so everybody, and credit to everybody for doing it, it was a change of plan. And all of a sudden it was now going to be Abu Dhabi. That must have been pretty special.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember me and Matt were sitting at his dinner table, sort of trying to figure out how we could make Vegas work, and what if we try to do this and what if we try to do this, but too big of a gamble. And he didn't want me to just sit at the hotel room all weekend and be stuck. Everyone's out having a laugh, but I was really happy we made it this other way, and I think we had a heck of a time in Abu Dhabi as well.
Well, it's not something that I can imagine you'll get everywhere you go. So it's something very special about Poole and special about Matt. And I spoke to the other guys, Nikolai and Bomber, about it last week and their memories of it. You guys must have special memories of that time. And I think there was one story in particular about Richie. We heard about the horrible lift incident, so we won't go there again. But I think it was Richie in the swimming pool was the other one.
I think he was on FaceTime to his missus when we were down at the bar, and we were there with Andy and Tracy from County Crest, and you know, it was at their hotel, I think, and Richie was on FaceTime and he just jumped up from out of his chair and just ran and done a front flip into the pool while he's on FaceTime. And he got out and he's like, "Look, my phone's still working." And a couple of boys egged him on to do it again. And I think he'd done it 3 times. And the third time he got out, and it was his whole screen was black, full of water, I guess. And yeah, he had to take a trip downtown and get a new phone the next day. Yep. Poor fella, but yeah, he was he was in fine form that night or that whole day.
Yeah,
yeah.
Just before this, it was like he forgot his MacBook or something on the plane as well. So he had like good start of the first day there. Yeah.
Yeah, he left it on the plane when they landed in Abu Dhabi. Like, yeah, I'd say he had a good trip, but yeah, he'd probably say otherwise. Like he enjoyed it, and that day we were all enjoying it because we were all there together, and you know, drinks were flowing and food was flowing and whatever. And yeah, I think we even wore shirts out for it too. We all come up with them, and yeah, Richie brought us all shirts and whatever, and yeah, we wore it all out, and yeah, it was a good day. You know, had a lot of people there, and yeah, we enjoyed it. And Matt, yeah, full credit to Matt too. You know, he had Nick for both finals that year, and he also said to Nick, "Don't worry, you're coming with us too. You've helped us win the league, so you're coming to Abu Dhabi with us." So
yeah,
you know, that's pretty good of Matt to do that for him.
Yeah,
it's typical of the generosity that I know that he's capable of. Fred, do you remember all of it, or are there bits that are have been wiped from your memory banks?
I reckon first night was a bit hard, and we went pretty hard on. I could feel it 2 days afterwards because pretty hard. I remember when we were at this, one of my strongest memories when we was at this Etihad place, like having this big dinner, and it was like huge buffet. You can have lobsters, Chinese, Mexican, everything. But I sat next to Bummer all day, and I only remember that he would come down with like one plain cheeseburger after the other one, and everyone was showing quiz dishes. And Bummer, he was just coming with a plain cheeseburger, putting some ketchup in it, and nah, I'm alright with this.
I love Bomber. I love it. He's a man after my own.
And such a cool guy, and just his own.
He was a father figure that day because we were all getting out of hand, and he was making sure we were all right. And you know, if we needed a water, he was giving us a water. So yeah, fair play to him. Otherwise, I think there would have been a few of us that were down and out that day.
For sure, and he was the one rocking around with the map and showing everyone where to go when they had to do stuff. And
awesome. We just went with the flow with it, and Bomber he had it all organised for us.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm going to throw in another quick one. We were talking to Chris Holder and Dave Watt recently, couple of Zooms ago, and I threw in the question to them about how much they keep as souvenirs, because fans obviously like to keep souvenirs, and we all keep memorabilia. Turns out Chris Holder is the biggest hoarder of them all, and he's got every race suit, I think, and all sorts of things that he's kept, possibly the trophies as well. Do you guys keep souvenirs, and have you got any special things that you attach memories to?
I might be able to show you here real quick. There's a few race jackets there, a couple of bikes, but they're not speedway bikes. But yeah, I'm the same. I keep a lot of race suits. Well, I didn't really do it up until a few years ago now, but yeah, I think I've got maybe 30 in the shed.
Wow.
It's something to, you know, if you ever call it a day or whatever, you've got that you know, the suit or the race jacket or whatever to remind you of that year and, you know, what you've done. You'll never forget, like, oh yeah, I won the leagues and that was cool, you know. So yeah, you remember them. And it's a good thing to have too.
Yeah, I do the same. I kept all my suits from throughout my career so far. Only one I'm missing is the first one from when I was 10 years old. So I need to find it and buy it back someday. But otherwise, I keep all my suits and all my trophies. I just like I had all my trophies at my dad's work, and he's just changed now. So we had to like drive all this stuff home, and he got all his trophies as well from his career, and we counted it all up, and there was like plus 500 trophies we just picked up on our roof now here at home. So keeping it all in store as well, and it's fun to have when look back on someday.
Rumour has it that Greg Hancock treasures his medal that he got for winning the Premiership with the Pirates in 2003. One of his most treasured possessions. Maybe not. Okay, guys. Well, in terms of coming back to the Pirates, we'd obviously love to see either of you back, and I know that Dan would be very happy to work with you guys again. How do you feel about that? And most importantly, was it a big shock to see that the Pirates have dropped down into the Championship? Josh, do you want to go first?
Oh, I was letting Fred go because I always seem to cut him off, so I was letting him go first. You know, yeah, it felt a little bit weird. You know, Matt obviously spoke to us during the year and said, like, you know, he brought that chateau in France, and obviously his sort of focus shifted to that, and you know, we knew that Dan was going to take over and run the show this year, and he did say, "Oh, look, I'm looking at running, you know, dropping down to Championship next year." And he actually asked if I'd be interested, but I race on a Polish license, so it's impossible unless I went back on an Aussie one. And so yeah, we were shocked when it actually did happen, because you know, there's a lot of rumours and stuff go around all the time, and you never see it. Well, you never believe it until it's out in the press, or you know, you get told that it's actually happened. So, yeah, it's a shame, but you know, I still believe that Poole's very capable of going back up there, and I'm sure the Premiership clubs will welcome him back with open arms if he did decide to go back up.
There was a certain, I don't know, I think people generally realise this, that particularly during the Chris and Darcy era, Pirates always came in for a lot of stick from the opposition and opposition fans, whether you say it's Poole haters, whether you say it's jealousy, whether it's just normal. And it's been going on, you know, going back. I was looking at magazines recently, and they used to hate Bellevue, and they used to hate Coventry, and the teams that would do well way back then, you know, back in the 60s, they had their haters as well. But it's documented that I think that promoters welcomed the Pirates because they would put bums on seats wherever they went, particularly during the Chris and Darcy era, and when Ricardson was there. You know, Pirates were always welcome visitors. Yeah,
for sure. And everyone knew what the Pirates came with as well, because it was always a winning mentality, and some of the best riders they could possibly get in the team. So everyone knew they were in a winning position no matter where they went and where we went. And you know, that's what you kind of get of being a successful club. The haters will follow, but you know, that's even funnier to prove them wrong and win then. Yeah.
Midlow always says that when riders join, I don't know if you said this to you, Fred, when riders join, he always says, "Welcome to the most hated team in Speedway."
Yeah, I heard that as well, yeah.
That's it. That's the first thing he says on a track walk if we get a new guy, and he's like, "Well, welcome to the most hated club in Speedway."
Yeah.
I love that. So for you, there is always a prospect that the Pirates could be back again. You know, we've quizzed Dan to ask him, is this a 1-year thing? And who knows? And of course, now with this lockdown and with the season still in jeopardy, we don't know what's going to happen in 2020, and whether or not teams will be held over for 2021. Whether, you know, that opportunity would come back. But I guess one of the deciding factors is race day. And for Dan and for Matt, not racing on a Wednesday was probably the big deal breaker.
Biggest killer, yeah. You know, and that's the thing too. Your fans are used to going to Speedway on a Wednesday. They'd plan their week around that Wednesday. So for us to race on a Thursday was always weird, because you know, I'd raced for Poole in the past, like in 13 and 14 and stuff like that. And when they changed it to Thursday, it always felt real like that weird, because you're like, oh well. Yeah, usually I'm driving a Poole today, but I'm not. I'm elsewhere. So, yeah, I think, and that goes to show, for like, even with the fans, that they're used to going on that Wednesday, so they were set and whatever. And yeah, for them to change it to Thursday, well, that was a fixed race night, so it just made that thing made it a little bit harder for everyone. And I guess, yeah, it just didn't sit right with Matt and obviously the fans as well. So, and the thing is too, with the Championship, you'll get more regular race, and there's a lot more teams in there. So, and you know, you're going to get people coming down from Scotland to have a holiday. Well, if it eventually gets going this year, but they can make a holiday of it, because they could go to Somerset and to Poole and do the that would be a Southern tour. So, you know, I guess it's a good thing and a bad thing. But, you know, if Matt and Dan ever decide to go back up, then I think I'd be going back there, no problem.
Yeah, same for me as well. And from what I've read and heard from around Poole, it seems like that fans is all right with Poole joining the championship for now, and like gives an opportunity to see new teams and new riders coming down and having more rides throughout the year and stuff like this. So maybe it's a ride for this, but you know, everyone still thinks that Poole is a top Premiership team, and will probably always rate them like that.
It's kind of hard to picture them not being in the top league, and something that I'm not used to. I wasn't so much present during the era when they did drop down into the National League as it was then. So my memories are always, you know, Poole are in the top flight. In my earlier years, of course, Poole weren't the fashionable club, and now, of course, very much they are, and hence why they've attracted the kind of the following for and against. Because people will go both ways in that respect, and it's because of their status. So, in terms of the immediate future, Josh, you know, is there a prospect for you to be coming back to the UK? Is that going to be difficult? I think you're working at the moment. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm working for a mate at a bike shop at the moment. You know, we know Poland's kicking off. I think that's in July. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to, you know, get my act together and head back soon. But you know, that saying that too, that it's, you know, we can only race in Poland at the moment. We can't, once we go there, we're stuck there. So it's a weird year. I don't really, well, no one's ever experienced this before. And, you know, I've got to travel a long way back just to go back and race Poland for 14 meetings. So it's something we're not used to. We're used to doing 100 a year. And, you know, this is going to be cut down like drastically, and we won't be able to race in England. And I don't know, there's talk of England starting in August, but, you know, that's also got to be, you got to abide by the rules that the government lay out for, you know, social distancing and restrictions and whatnot. And, you know, the hardest thing is going to be what's the travel restrictions going to be like too. So there's all these things that's sort of stuffing everyone up this year. And, you know, that's something we're all going to have to deal with and get used to, I guess, for not just for this year. I think it's going to carry on into next year as well.
Yeah, frightening to think that, you know, this is the new normal. You know, I get surprised by myself when I watch things on TV and see people standing close together. I think that doesn't look right, because I've got so adjusted to the fact that everyone's there 6 feet apart.
Yeah. Everyone's getting all antisocial now, aren't they? You know, they're getting used to the fact that you've got to be 1.5 meters apart, and yeah, it's weird, and I don't think we'll ever experience this again in our lives. I hope we don't, because
absolutely,
I mean, especially for you guys there in the UK, it's hit you pretty hard, and, you know, taken a lot of lives. So, you know, I don't know, it's something that you don't wish that upon anyone. And, you know, I actually had the virus as well, and I turned out I had no symptoms to it. I caught it on the plane on the way home, and yeah, I was a little bit worried about me dad and his missus, because they were bringing food out and self-isolation and whatnot, and they went and got checked and they were negative, thank God. But yeah, it just shows how easy you could spread it, because I had no symptoms whatsoever, and if I'd have gone about my normal everyday life, how many people would I have given it to at home here? And then, you know, it just goes from there. It just spirals out of control.
That is a sobering thought. Fred, what's the immediate future for you? Are you going to be able to get on a bike?
Yeah, I probably am. I'm actually heading to Poland now in not too soon time. So, because as just said, league starts there like start of July, and I'm living off only racing now. So, you know, I might as well just head to Poland soon. And this just started the practicing, so I'll start and get ready for the season. In Denmark, they are still trying to figure out how to make it work somehow. Government just said now that sport activities with fans should be allowed, but, you know, it's not really sure if it's only like 500 or 1,000 people, and they want to do at least 1,000, or they won't do the league. So, and as of right now, it looks like we'll only do like maybe 2 or 3 meetings if we get started, in August, and that's like, in a good scenario. So, but everything can change so fast, as we see now, because one week it's nothing, and second week the country is in full lockdown. Yeah, so as it is right now, you can't really take this as a normal year, and you gotta like sort of get used to like break your routines and stuff like this, and live off the rules and restrictions we got now. So
the hardest thing for you guys is that you've had the expense because you've all got set up and nobody saw this coming immediately, and obviously all the expense takes place during the winter when you invest for the new season, and then all of a sudden you've got no income, so that's really hit you guys.
Yeah, for sure, because it's like just before the season that we do all the payments and all the big payouts for stuff that we want to use in the season to be able to earn even more money back when season starts. And when you get that big hit, then you still got I just hired 2 new mechanics for this season, and I was like trying to take another step in the right direction, and then invest a little bit more before the season. So it's a hard hit, but yeah, we gotta deal with the situation right now.
It's not only that, we just want to ride our bikes too.
Well, in the end, it's
winter.
It's what you love doing, and I mean, you get paid for doing what you love doing, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
That's it.
Best thing. But as of right now, it just seems like the winter season has just been kept going on. Yeah, because even though I've been to a few practices, but it's never the same as the race day adrenaline and vibe you get, and you'll never be fired up the same way as when you go to a meeting. So it just seems like winter period has kept going on with the off season.
Well, we wish you all to stay safe. We hope that we'll see both of you back on a bike soon, and maybe gracing Wimborne Road in the not too distant future. That would be great. Thank you for everything that you did in 2018, Josh, in 2019 and beyond as well. You've both been a big part of the Pirates setup, so we really appreciate that. Once a pirate, always a pirate, they say down at Wimborne Road, love to see that. And it's always the ex-Pirates that get the biggest cheer when I bring you out on parade. So that's always a cool thing. Guys, thank you. Stay there for a minute. I will just say goodbye to everybody, and thank you for joining us for this, our latest Zoom review of 2018, the Premiership title and the Championship win, of course. Now, next week we are going to take a break. We won't be broadcasting next week, but we are coming back. Remember, of course, the Pirates have got over 20 trophies now, so we've still got plenty of winning meetings to show. Not quite sure which one will be next, but as I say,
get sick of it.
Next week there won't be a meeting, but there is one more coming up. So look out for those. Keep a look on the website, and we'll keep you posted as to what the next meeting we are going to show will be. Okay, guys, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thanks for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed it again, and we'll come back and see you again in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you. Up the Pirates.
Yeah, bye.
I'm on the Pirates.